Greetings. Hi, I am Shushana, and today we're going to be doing a reading for empathic people. I am a scanner and diagnoser. I do not use tarot and I do not channel. I connect with source and nature in its most natural form. I do not need to connect with anything else beyond that. I do not require cards, but I enjoy using them as subject starters. So, a lot of empathic people have been having insomnia, very irregular sleep cycles, just difficulty sleeping. A lot of empathic people have been purging. A lot of empathic people have been feeling defeated. And today we're going to do a little reading on what empathic people need to be focused on during these times where you are feeling ultra hypersensitive and you don't like it. Who does? Who does? Who does? You know, sometimes you just want to turn off that button and not hear anything, not know anything, not feel anything, not sense anything. But then as soon as you turn off the knob, you feel guilt and shame. Because you feel like your whole purpose in being in this world as a servant. We're meant to serve others, heal ourselves, make breakthroughs, get over obstacles that we could not overcome in prior lifetimes. And then what do? We go back up and we turn the knob back on. We're like, okay, fine. What is it? What is it? What kind of spread should we do for you? Let's do a simple spread. But then I feel like that's what we do all the time. Let's add a card to our spread. The reason why a lot of empathic people are feeling this way is because there's changes that are happening right before our eyes. There's changes that are happening right under our nose. There are changes that are happening that are mothership in size, if you know what I mean. And it is sensed and it is felt. No cloak can cover that up from an empathic, hypersensitive person. So that is why you're feeling all of this. Nothing is wrong with you. It just means that your receptors are working. The first card is going to be what needs to be meditated on. Of course, the earth. The earth ship. This group is continuing to have issues with self-nourishment and accepting nourishment from others. You have to continue working through your traumas, continue working through your insecurities that are leading you to isolation, that is unnecessary isolation. There are people around you or people interested or loved ones that want to reach out and give you love and affection and make you feel good. But you are pushing them away. And you need to meditate on why is that? Why is it that you're pushing them away? I'm not talking about the toxic ones. I'm talking about the healthy ones. If you're trying to isolate yourself and distance yourself and protect yourself from the toxic ones, that's normal. That's what you should be doing. But I'm talking about the positive ones. Like, let's say your holistic doctor, or your holistic therapist, or your holistic bestie, or your friend that understands everything. Why is it so hard for you to invite a friend over? Like, let's say there's this one particular friend that understands your pain. And why is it so hard for you to tell them? I'm in a lot of pain right now, and I just want you to come over and just listen to me for a little bit. Like, let's just have some food, have some tea, make some smoothies together, and just talk. Better yet, let's barbecue at the park. There is a problem. There's a problem with the healers in the healing arts. Not for everybody, these are just collective readings, but there's a big percentage of, I want to say about 80% of healers out there, maybe even more. That's just me putting it nicely. The problem with the healing arts people is that because they're so good at what they do, they don't have anybody do it for them. You know what I mean? It's like, same with like crisis. How is a therapist that makes so much money unable to help you with your issue because your issue is more advanced than them? So what you end up with is a bunch of healers in the healing arts who have issues, and there's nobody that can help them because there's no one advanced enough to help them, whether that is physically, energetic, emotionally, at a soul level. Like, there's so many different types. So when that happens, sometimes it's easier for you to go to complete strangers. So go to a complete stranger if that's easier for you. If it's easier for you to go to a brand new acupuncture center and just book acupuncture, book acupressure, book it so that you're going every 2 weeks. But there's so much that needs to be looked at. You are a healer that loves to heal people. You love to help others. You are good at partial self-nourishment and self-care. But there's this big percentage that is neglected, that is like a void, and it comes from you not accepting help or affection or services from people that have offered it to you. Because I don't feel like you have to reach out. I feel like there's people who have offered their service to you, and there's something in you that feels unworthy or undeserving to get help, the same help that you provide. Does that make sense? So you need to look into that. As a healer, as an acupuncturist, as an energy worker, as an acupressurist, as a TCM practitioner, all those things that you do, should it be at the price of you being left with nothing, where you're flat zero and deflated and drained because of all that work that you do. Some of you do not have support. Some of you do not have the resources, or you just don't think that you do, or that you don't. It's hard for you for it to come by. It's not so much whether it's available, it's psychological. You do not believe that you deserve something. And that is sad. And you need to go through that. Look at the card that falls on the floor. We've got unconditional love over here. Needing to replace all of your fears with unconditional love. What are all the things that you fear? Cross them all out. Replace them with unconditional love. No more conditions. Conditions bring problems. Unconditional love brings miracles and breakthroughs. The second card is renewal. What needs to be renewed? What needs to be renewed is your fears. They need to be changed to unconditional love. Even if you have to trick yourself, even if you disagree, just do it. It's easier to just do it. Because the opposite of unconditional love is extremely tricky and sticky. And it will go to anything that it can stick to and say, there's an excuse. There's an excuse. I got it. I got an excuse for you to not be unconditionally loving. And 99% of the time, people fall for it. When, had you been unconditionally loving towards the situation, you would have experienced a breakthrough, because that is what unconditional love brings. A breakthrough, progress, transmissions, transitions, success, completions. When you hold conditions, this could also be towards yourself, where you hold conditions upon yourself. Self-destructive habits. You put the condition on yourself. I'm not going to be happy unless I have that. I'm not going to be happy unless I have that. I'm not going to be happy unless I have that. Okay. And then you have that, and then something happens. You're unsatisfied, but I thought that you said that if you had that, you would be happy. So, we have two things we have diagnosed so far. We have fears and unaccepting of love. You reject love. You reject love. You reject nourishment. You reject care. You reject support. You reject resources. If you are single and you don't want to be single, you are rejecting being in a relationship. Do you understand? You need to adjust your core belief systems. There's something wrong with your core belief systems, where somewhere down the line you believed that you deserved nothing, that you were worth nothing. And because you believed it, it stuck. And you need to switch it. We're going to switch it. We're going to switch it. And this is a very big, not big, I want to say heavy. It's a heavy ball that you have to go through. We're not going to be able to clear it because it's so heavy and it varies. You're going to have to picture a stone, like, for some reason I'm being shown the shaman stone from Utah. It's like that shape. And maybe you can look into those, because those are very interesting stones. There's male and females to those stones, and those stones are known to move on their own. But that's what I'm being shown. It's like the shape of the stone is the shape of a shaman stone. And whether or not it's male or female is you, whether you are male or female. But you have to go through the stone. You have to go through the contents in order to clear it. And when, where, why did you feel like you were worthless? Like you did not deserve something? You know what is crazy? Is when you do that, when you retrack your steps and you look at when, where, why that happened, sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's yourself that fed you that lie. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's us that said that to ourselves because we were in a bad situation, in a bad circumstance. Sometimes it wasn't even a parent like it usually is. Sometimes it's us. We said it to ourselves. We put the gun in our face, you know, and said, I'm unworthy. I'm this, I'm all that. And then you believed it and it's there like a stone. So, I feel like the majority of you have that stone there because of a past person. A past person that you guys broke up and you thought they were going to be your forever person. This is just for a group of you. You thought they were going to be your forever person. You thought that person was going to be like the mother of your kids, you know? Like you thought that you guys were going to like be together forever. And when that relationship didn't work out, you dictated to yourself a bunch of rubbish and you put so much energy into it that it became kind of real and created these fears and inability to accept love ever again. It's kind of like you cursed yourself for that one small group, okay? But it's broken now, right? It's broken. You're already in plans of looking through it. And then for another group of you, it's just how horrible your parents treated you. They chose everything they possibly could but you. And that's why that stone is there. You know, if there was a marker, they would have chose a marker. If anything, you know. Um, there's also a group of you in here who every time it was your birthday or every time it was a holiday, the parent that neglected you or the role model that neglected you would sign the card. And that hurts you to your core to even be reminded. How could you be such a drunk POS that you buy a birthday card, a Christmas card, any kind of card, and all you do is sign it and give it to your kid? Like, people don't understand that these kinds of things damage you for the rest of your life. That's all that you think that your kid is worth, is signing the card like it's a bloody check. Even a check gets more letters and words than a birthday card that is just signed by your negligent parent. Okay? So all of those reasons have created the collective fear and collective inability to accept love. I am telling you, the majority of the singles here, you're single because you want to be, but you tell yourself you don't. So it's like deep down inside, you want to be in a relationship, but subconsciously, you don't. And subconscious one is winning right now, and you have a way of pushing good things. When something good comes your way, you feel like, it's for me? Is this a prank? And people will be staring at you like, it has your name on it, doesn't it? your name is on there, your first name and your last name. That's right. This is for you. So, with this group, you will be attracted to negative careers, negative places of work, negative people to date. But when a positive opportunity comes, when a positive date comes, you run for the hills. Do you see the core belief switch? That's the biggest problem in this collective group, the core beliefs. You go through the stone, which we're going to go through and see what else is inside the stone. And then we're going to switch your core belief systems because there's, honey, the switch that is on right now is like the old vinyl record and it's tapped onto the wrong line, the wrong ring, the wrong circle, and you need a, when you do energy work with core belief systems, you, it's easiest for me to visualize the vinyl record. It's on the wrong ring. You see what I mean? It's on the wrong ring. It's on the ring that is rejecting all positive opportunities, all positive people, all positive love. Accepting the love. But for some reason, the track that you have it on is to reject the good and accept the negative. And part of that negative is the isolation. Physical isolation is good because you replenish, you recover. I'm not talking about physical isolation. I'm talking about social. The core belief systems that have to be put on the right ring are affecting your social life the most. And that's a really bad one for it to be affected because that's going to affect, that's going towards your mental health, where you know that it's affecting that one when you go out in public and what you comes out of your mouth is gibberish and everybody stares at you like, are you okay? And you're like, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, I don't know if you know what I mean, but like, you can't even function in public because this core belief system has been in the wrong place for too long. Okay. 3, clarity. What needs clarity? A lot of jumpers. I want to see what jumped. All my relations jumped, but was not the one. What needs clarity? Well, you know what? All my relations is actually extremely fitting to be a jumping card because all my relations. You gotta look. Which ones are good? Which ones are bad? Which is the real one I have to reject? And which one is the real one I have to welcome? We have woman with 2 faces of what needs clarity. Very interesting. I've never had it in that position before. How are you being two-faced to yourself? You could be two-faced to the world. You could be two-faced to yourself. How are you being two-faced to yourself is one rhetorical question. And the other one is, how are you incorporating your feminine and masculine energies? Are they working for you? Is there something that needs to be tweaked where maybe you're showing too much masculinity or too much femininity? Are your masculine and feminine energies in balance? Because if you are too aggressive, too masculine, too soft, too feminine, that is going to create issues if there's not a good polar balance within you on your day-to-day basis. Basically blending the two. So how can you be more like trans fluid? Is that the word? I'm not sure if that's the word, but like where you're not choosing either one. It's like we already are the gender that we are, right? No matter what, you can't help it. But how can you balance two soft and aggressive energies without having to choose to be just one? Like one of my roommates, they're having an identity crisis where they've taken on a masculine aggressive identity, and the soft feminine does not exist in them. And that's an issue. It's an issue that needs to be looked at when someone chooses to be masculine aggressive all the time and doesn't honor any soft feminine aspects that you have in you, even if you're a man. And then we have, you know, imbalances when you do too much, when you're too soft. And what kind of issues do those create? When you're too soft and you're too feminine, you usually end up in situations where people step on your toes and you don't know how to set boundaries. You're unable to set up boundaries. Yes, exactly. So growth. The next one is this one's for growth. There's a group in here that is too aggressive. As a healer, it's very important for you to ask permission when you're working with your client. For those of you who are in your masculine and you're open to improve, if not for yourself, for your client, so that your client feels more comfortable. Because some of you might be female, but you're very aggressive and very masculine, and it affects your business. It affects your clients and how they feel and whether or not they want to come back. And if you want to have a successful practice in your little clinic and what you do, ask permission. Or if you're a therapist, my biggest advice for therapists, my number one biggest advice for you who are therapists, psychologists, anything similar, is to ask permission before you give advice to your client. I only encountered that one single time my entire life. So when I was a teenager, my mom was constantly trying to put me into therapy and rehab and all kinds of stuff, and she wasn't taking any responsibility for her contributions on why I was doing it to begin with. But she had me see tons of therapists, and I didn't like any of them. They were all licensed, they were all certified, and I didn't like any of them. And they just all felt intrusive. And later on, a couple years later, I saw a therapist on my own accord. She was not certified. She was not licensed. She was working. She was doing like the hours. You have to do a certain amount of free hours to become certified to be like a real licensed therapist. So I was one of her clients, and she hadn't been licensed yet. She was not certified, and she was the best. Her name was Aisha. I don't know if she still works there. This lovely organization called CYWD in California. And she impressed me from the beginning. She heard everything that I had to say and then took the time to say, "May I give you some advice?" And I was so impressed. I was so impressed because sometimes you just want people to listen. How do you know that whoever you're talking to doesn't want you to just listen? Just listen. So when you sit there and ask somebody, "Can I give you some advice?" you're giving them the uttermost compassion, sympathy, consideration, respect, honor towards their experience that you possibly could. Okay? Okay. Growth. Some of you are 42 years old, 45, 44, 17. What needs growth? Ooh, this is the air element. You need to express yourself. You need to tell the truth. You need to air out the truth that you've been keeping from something or someone. And then I also get that there are developments happening in the sky that are gonna make the energies very raw. So don't feel like something is wrong with you. Just know that there's so much going on that we're just going to have to kind of go through. Is that it? Okay, that's it from that. From the Lakota cards. Okay, all right. Blossoming abundance. You have put so much effort in volunteering. You put so much effort in. There's so much effort that it's like I for, oh my God. There is so much effort that this group has made in progressing in their life as healers. I know that this is an empathic, a reading for empathic people, but I just feel like the majority of empathic people are in the healing arts. I just do. You know, even if you're not actively doing it, just the fact that you're thinking about it, you're creating a healing ripple for the universe. You know, studying the healing arts, studying TCM. TCM, it costs thousands of dollars for that series, but it's worth every penny. So the blossoming abundance is going to come from all the efforts that I feel that you've already made. Not that there's not a bunch of work to do still, but blossoming abundance is due to you. We have indecision for another group of you. You're indecisive about something. I can't really talk about that one because it's going to vary so much. Some of you are just feeling unhappy and feeling like you're stuck in the middle of the road, the fork in the road. So what I get to tell you with this card here is to stay there. I've never said this before. I've never said this to anyone before, but I feel that you should camp out. Camp out, slumber party, stay there, put up your tent, make a fire, make it fun. Why does it have to be painful? Life is already painful, so might as well make the painful chores and painful errands and painful responsibilities fun. You know, when I wash dishes, I make it a party. I put on my headphones, I put on the most obnoxious dancing kind of music I can get my hands on, and I wash them dishes and I dance at the same time. And If you feel like you are in some kind of metaphorical fork on the road, stay there. Who is anyone or anything to tell us you need to make a decision right now? You need to choose. Who's putting a sword to your throat? You need to choose right now. No, because we don't want to make a mistake. So if you're kind of in limbo, then camp out and have fun in limbo. However, we do have the garden and the gate. The garden and the gate is bringing up more issues from the stone. I'm going to have to pause this video and walk around. My leg fell asleep and I can't focus. So give me a second. And we're back. Okay, where were we? So here we are again. So we're back at the stone. So the things that needed to be looked at was the fear, the inability to receive love. If the person who screwed you over in the past screwed you over and did not love you, why would you allow someone that did not love you make the person that really loves you suffer? For whoever that's for. Back to the stone, the garden, and the gate. I don't think there's anything new with this one. I'm going to be perfectly honest with what I am feeling. I feel that there is a group of you in here that has shut down like a clam. Shut down like a clam to the beauty, to the blessings of this world. A Cancer. You're a Cancer. There's someone that's a Cancer sign that you cry to God, you pray to God, but you hide. You hide. You hide. You hide in your room. And if you only knew that if you were to just come out, if you were to just come out of your room, Source will answer your prayers. How are the prayers supposed to be answered from the sky if you never come out to smell the roses? If you never get any kisses from the sunlight? It's very sad. So the shutting out is something else that we have to add to the stone. You have shut yourself off. You have guarded yourself off in an abnormal manner. They say that isolation for a long period of time is just as bad as smoking a whole pack of cigarettes. That's how bad it is for your health. We're not meant to be in isolation. We're meant to socialize in villages and know everybody's names. Don't get me started with that and the old ways. I'm a very traditional person. My heart yearns for the old times where people lived simply and appreciated the very simple. And now, we will have people who are in luxury that are just so ungrateful and then have the audacity to bully others who are less fortunate. That's just the world that we live in. And who usually suffers through all this but the empaths? We're the ones who get it, right? And we have appreciation. What about the good things? What about all of the good things? What can we appreciate with all of the good things? Okay, let me put these to the side. I have room. Okay, so this group has to be careful with your passions. You have to be careful with differentiating between lust and love, or lust and a healthy encounter. This group, I feel, is so deprived of having their passion met, or having that it's easy for you to fall victim to getting into a relationship with somebody that just wants you temporarily. So it's very important to tame the desire and tame the passion so that you can find or connect with the correct individual. And that all comes from the subconscious pushing away. We have detach. Worry over nothing, fear nothing, truly let go. Detach and leave all your past behind, emotional or material. You will be adequately provided for, but not through holding on to attachments. The universe enforces the perfect balance. Live simply. I really feel that right now the universe is ripping the rug from underneath humanity. And everything that we've been wanting to hold on to, the more that we hold on to it, the faster it gets taken away. It just has that kind of feel to it. Detaching. Really, we shouldn't be attached to anything. True happiness is found in desiring and wanting nothing. But of course, we are only human, and if you are an empathic person, it's not advised for you to be one of those people with multiple partners. There are some people that are able to be with multiple partners at the same time, and in their detrimental mind, it doesn't affect them. They're like the same. Um, I sidetracked from something else. I'm not going to mention that. Empathic people cannot be with multiple people at the same time without getting hurt. Let's just put it that way. So I do not recommend that you seek multiple partners and think that you can handle it. I just don't recommend that for whoever is wondering, because sometimes people can be very passionate and want multiple things, but you're hypersensitive to energy, and then you all of a sudden feel that you're dealing with a whole bunch of energies at the same time. And the reason why that is because when you're interacting with someone, you're not only interacting with them, but you're interacting with everybody that they are interacting with presently. And then you're going to be with multiple. So let's say you're dealing with 5 people. Those 5 people are most likely doing the same thing. They're also seeing multiple people. So then every interaction with each person out of those 5 people, they're dealing with people in the present moment. And all of a sudden you're feeling suicidal because you've got like 50 energies on you. So if you're hypersensitive, I highly recommend relationships that make you feel safe. Okay? However, you cannot be closed shut like a clam and then expect any solutions. So when you're shut like a clam, you probably have complex PTSD that needs to be looked at and see what can you do to open up just a little bit. Because the problem with over guarding yourself and keeping yourself shut off to the world, there's a problem with that. Everything is energy. Everything is manifesting. What are you telling the universe when you're shutting yourself out like a clam? You're telling the universe that someone is out to get you, that you need to be in fear. So you kind of create that scenario and increase its possibility. Same with a knife. If you go out, every single day that you go out, you have a knife. What are you telling the universe? You're telling the universe that you have to be protected from something. So you think that you're protecting yourself by walking around every single day of your life with a switchblade. But you're telling the universe, I need protection from something. And you increase the chances of there being a physical attack just because you have a knife every single day. You are somehow manifesting that bad luck, and that needs to be looked at when it comes to shutting yourself off from the world too much. The resolutions that you need will come in your grip release. As you release the grip, the resolutions will come. But you have so much trauma that you are shutting the doors. You're shutting them and bolt locking them, protecting yourself with bolts. So not even the positive can come through. Positive news, positive opportunities, whatever you want to call it, miracles. Positive news does exist. It does. Positive news exists. We have to have the bipolar. I always say that. The polar opposite. We have to have the polar opposite. Okay. And then we have unbounding yourself. Get yourself unbound. Releasing soul patterns. Cutting all your contracts in your past lives, just a reminder of the things that you already know. That's something you already know. Okay, contradicting behavior is another thing that needs to be looked at. So there are certain groups of people that will tell people, not to join a cult, but then they're a Mason themselves. So be careful. Be careful with any contradicting behavior. I don't know why I felt the urge to say that. Like maybe there's someone in here that's like an advisor, but they play with dark magic. It's like, how are you going to advise anybody and you play with dark magic or dark tools, or your families are Masons? It's like, walk the walk and talk the talk. Whatever you do, also do behind closed doors. I don't know why I'm getting the urge to say that. Give yourself permission to play. That's another thing, okay? There's so many things in that stone. So let's talk about this one. Permission, giving yourself permission to play. In the stone that you're going to look through on your own accord, because it varies, has fear, unaccepting of love, and issues with inability to play. This is a really important one. People think that this is not important, but it's very important. Ugh, it's so. With the current energies, it can't be forced. It can't be forced, but playing if you play, because I can't, it's, you can't really control it. It's one of those things that's like spontaneous and sporadic healing that just happens. But if you could get yourself to play like you would if you were a child, do you know what I mean? When you get like motivated and you find something and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to color this, I want to paint this, I want to put glitter all over it, and you all of a sudden you realize that you're playing like a child for a couple hours. If you're able to do that, you will be moving and shifting so much energy without even realizing it. And it's difficult because you can't force it. But anywho, when this card comes up, it means that you're too serious. You are too serious. What can you do? Can you hang out with your little cousins, your little nephews, grandkids? Can you hang out with other children where you do some kind of craft? There's healing that will take place through crafts, arts, and crafts that are childlike. It will remind you of something and it will help you. The other, was it last year? I was making, sorry, my nose got all stuffy. I was making gingerbread man houses with my roommates, and we had a freaking blast. And it just felt so good to escape the seriousness, you know, this poker face seriousness, this hard society, you know, and I just had a blast. It turned into a comedy show. It turned into a full-blown comedy show. You know, it's always the simple things. It's the simple things in life, okay? We have the number 33 and we have the key. For the empathic group, this is you. This is you. This is you. This is your energy. You have the key. If you consider yourself an empathic person, a hypersensitive person, that means that you hold the original key to the original world. You have the wisdom that has been forgotten by many. And the ones who have forgot that wisdom, unfortunately, are going to suffer those consequences because it's a code. It's a code. There's a separation. There is a separation between the ones who don't remember and the ones that do. And the ones that do are the ones who holds the key. And on the other side, we have the keyhole. Come on. These are magical times. They really are, because a lot that is going on behind the scene is in the name of justice. It doesn't look like that in the outside, but it's ultimately going to be for the greatest good, especially because Pluto is in Aquarius. And that brings revolutions, humanitarian rights, and it's going to be messy and chaotic in the beginning, but ultimately there is going to be I don't even know what to call it, a complete extraction of certain energies that are no longer going to be allowed on our Earthship plane. Did we do one of these? I don't think we did a dream oracle. Let's do some of these before we finish. Another thing I wanted to mention is, if you feel defeated, or if you feel like you're purging, if you feel like you're not able to contribute, that is completely normal, okay? There's nothing wrong with sleeping and hibernating until the energy has improved or until you feel better. A lot of you have had a combination of insomnia and tiredness, where you have insomnia at night, but in the daytime you're completely drained by the plague. And that is all normal, so don't beat yourself up. Don't call yourself lazy. Don't call yourself useless. Don't call yourself lacking in responsibilities or in nonprofit organizations. It's okay to do nothing for as long as you need to, okay? That's the lovely part about living home alone, right? You can do that whenever you want. And with my roommates, I just feel pressure. I feel like I can't really do it when I want. I can't just take a nap at 2 o'clock p.m. without feeling a little bit uncomfortable. But it's okay. Alright? All that is normal. If you are freaking out politically, or you're freaking out because you don't know what to believe, on my community comments or my community posts on my homepage, there's a beat shoot link, if it's still there and has not been removed, that has a pretty decent international news update. Elevator, rise above. Exactly. 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 You're above all this. How dare you feel defeated? You're above all this. You're above this lower vibration, lower sickness, lower mindsets. You're above that. So don't treat yourself like you're anything less, or don't treat yourself like you are included with the group of people who do not recall anything, because you're not. If you're an empathic people, you are in a different group. You're in the woke group, the group that remembers. There are certain things that cannot be erased, and no matter how much they try to wipe it, there's certain things that cannot be erased. Rising above your self-destructive behavior, rising above your self-destructive patterns, Let's do another. I want to do one more. Let's do one more or two more. One more from here and then the colors, and then we'll finish. I hope that you found something helpful in this reading. It's very, very, very important for you to work on your self-worth. It's very difficult for blessings and miracles to come at your door when you are rejecting all that is good. And you may not mean to. A lot of single people in the world that want to get married, want to be in a relationship, they're on dating apps. There might be dating multiple people on video calls, all that kind of thing. And if I were to sit one-on-one with them, I would find a very common issue. A subconscious behavior of pushing away that which they want, which is love. Pushing away love, pushing away love, pushing away love. How are you pushing away love? How are you pushing away any positivity in your life? And not letting it in when you know it's positive, when you know it's for you. What lies do you need to burn and clear away that do not belong to you? Because sometimes we'll have these negative energies that will make us believe these lies, and you have to burn them. Burn all that is in me that is not accepting positive, healthy, loving situations and people. And you just visualize those negative thoughts just burning away with whatever color helps, because the fire doesn't have to be fire color. A lot of people like using different colors depending on what it is. Is it a red from a heartbreak? A gold, a purple? The violet consuming flame works the best, I think. Violet. And you remove that and you burn it. And you will notice that next time you have that thought doesn't carry the same weight, because you're like, no, I burned it. I burned that thought. A negative belief that you somehow convinced yourself to be true. And a lot of times when people do that, it's because somebody else made you think that. And usually the person that made you think that is lame. Lame, lame, lame. But you're going to continue to allow that really lame person to instill that idea. And we clear that. We clear that. That is not true. It is not true. It was never true. It just wasn't for you. Did we do a second one? I can't remember if I did a second one or not of this. If I did, I guess you'll get an extra. Did I? Ooh, childhood home. Okay. Remember where you're from and who you really are. We have the childhood home card. Once again, a lot of card on childhood, a lot of cards pointing to childhood trauma, which is pretty common. Sometimes it helps when we are having an identity crisis relating to our family. Sometimes it helps to play make believe. Make believe is actually one of my favorite games because I find it extremely beneficial in self therapy. Really. So, with the childhood home card here, let's say you had a really difficult childhood and you're like a bit every now and then you have a bit of an identity crisis because of that difficult upbringing, because certain things were not met. Emotional support is probably the most harmful one that hurt you, was the lack of emotional support, the lack of spiritual support, the lack of protection, where there was nobody there to protect you when you were being attacked. So then you think and you think and you think about those memories and you get nowhere, right? That's when the make believe comes to place. So then, as an adult, you have issues with your identity every now and then because you're like, wait a minute, I had a difficult upbringing. So I'm just going to show the survival face or the survival character, not really the character that I could have been or am meant to be. So that's where the make believe comes in. You imagine what your life would have been had you had all those things that you wanted. So let's say you did not have a very good relationship with either of your parents, and you hated the house that you grew up in or were born in or were raised in. So then you play make believe. Who would you have wanted to have been your mother instead? Who would you have wanted to be your father instead? What do they look like? What are they dressed in? What does the house that you would have loved to have been raised in look like? What about the routine? What would the proper routine would have looked like? What would the conversations be about? What would your normal day look like at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 a.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m.? And then you go on for as long as you can. You meditate on it for as long as you can. What about your teenage years? If you hated the school that you went to, what school would you have liked to go to? And what did that look like? And why don't you just replace everything? Replace your real physical past for this make believe past and swap them. You're graduating from a university, you're about 19, 20s, whatever that looks like to you. What did you major in? Or did you not go to school at all? And you just went straight for an industry, straight for a trade. Now, what does that person look like? You. What does that person look like? What would you have looked like, acted like, personality, decisions you would have made, aspirations, ambitions, goals, and you draw a portrait. You don't have to do this physically. You could just visualize what it looks like. For those of you who are really good as sketch artists, could sketch it out, and you just sketch it out, all of the details. Oh, this is what you would have looked like, happy, with emotional support, with your family being there for you, with your parents never having been alcoholic crack addicts. Wow. There's the solution to your identity crisis. You have a full portrait of who you're meant to be. And you have the right to replace your painful past with a make believe past. That is your right. And you can take on that persona. Because a lot of times, the one that you are right now is the one that you had to kind of end up being out of survival, not the one that you actually, truly, genuinely wanted to adopt in regards to your character, your personality, your spirit. And now you should feel confident. Like, wow, this person is so impressive. Look at what they're wearing. Go back to the portrait. Why is their outfit? What is it about their outfit that's so impressive? It wasn't abused. It wasn't tampered. It wasn't told that it wasn't good enough by its parents. And just look at it. That is your real portrait. Now you take the two, you take the one that you think you are, and then you take the portrait that you created there through that meditation, and you compare them. And what do you see? Do you see the difference? One is confident and polished, and this one, absolutely tormented. And when you do this meditation, it's a little painful because it will show you painful truths, such as the negative thoughts that certain family members had against you that caused that image that is not the one that you wanted to genuinely adopt. And at the end of the day, you're still going to have to forgive that person so that their abuse no longer follows you towards the future. And you forgive those people. You forgive those people who did you wrong. But the problem is a lot of people who have resentment creates illness, okay? I don't, whatever, people want to argue about it, resentment creates illness. Just because you forgive somebody who abused you does not mean that that person does not suffer the consequence. When you forgive that person, you are no longer suffering their consequence. Does that make sense? Last but not least, what colors does this group need to incorporate more in their life? Lighten up, have fun, tell yourself every day that you are worthy and you are deserving. And have a conversation with those two photos and those two characters that they both represent you, but one is untampered, and you want to reconnect with the one that is untampered. Experience peace and calm. This is the color that you need to incorporate more in your life. When was the last time that you went swimming at a swimming pool, swimming at a beach, swimming at a river, fishing, camping, barbecuing on the side of a body of water. When was the last time that you did that? Incorporating the color aqua in your life. We have the number 33 twice. We have the number 33 twice. Where's the other one? Look at this. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. I believe in positive and negative numerology. I'm kind of neutral when it comes to numerology. But I do believe in power numbers, lucky numbers like 11. 11 is my lucky number, okay? Like the number 2, the number 11. 7 is a lucky number for a lot of people. So I believe in both. I believe that there's positive and negative numerology, just like anything else. However, I just think it's important that you got 233s over here. That's crazy, because if you add 6 and 6, you get 12, and that's 13, and that's another 3. So that's the key and an aqua, and your lucky number for the day is a 3. There's like sacred numbers, and Nikola Tesla would always talk about the numbers 3, 6, and 9 being extremely significant. So I don't have anything against numbers. If I were to have any negative opinions against anything affiliated with numbers, it's the clock. I find the clock to be negative, and I believe that the clock is the enemy that is casting and striking against humanity, and that's why we always have to be on our toes, making sure that we are slicing the enemy into sashimi pieces. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Bye.